Okay, just for an update, sometime back I did a video that showed the floor panel exposed prior to installing a carpet set and finishing off the installation of the recovered dash. What I didn't mention or show, I might have a video tucked away somewhere, was the strengthening and the minor reconstruction and reprofiling of the original cut and shut. The main problem in the original swap from left to right hand drive was under the glove box, where this corner had separated. It was only held together with body filler, and this corner was barely attached. So those corners have now been reinforced with a couple of short sections of 25mm mild steel, and where there was approximate metal to metal contact, there's been some tacking. There's been tidying up of the fiberglass, which is essentially what holds the two sections in place, and is very strong, just a little bit untidy. But with the strengthening, the opening for the glove box was slightly reshaped. The top of the dash was reprofiled, and now we have a glove box insert that is a mirror image of the original left-hand drive one. And because they have contours to accommodate the ducting that leads up to the airball vents at the top, you can't just swap them around. So that's been remanufactured in fiberglass. Not perfect, but pretty close, and really happy with that. The only mistake that I made was in the allowance for the vinyl covering, and left to right I got it perfect. I'm about 1 to 1.5mm too small in the top to bottom opening, and it doesn't quite sit as flush as I'd like. That said, it's a better fit than any that I've ever seen, which includes factory. Okay, while we're on the passenger side, it also shows that the hood release has been returned to its original location. It had been replaced down here in order to get the air conditioning condenser under the dash, and it just wouldn't fit. But the original fittings on the kick panel here were still visible. Remade the bracket back exactly where it belongs. Two main things to do on the left-hand side, which is now the passenger side, and that is get a glove box that works and looks good. In doing that, I had to relocate the fuse panel, which would normally sit between the steering column and the side here. So what I've done, on the two square section mild steel tubings that I've used to reinforce these corners, I've attached a plate and reused just the fuse bar section of the original fuse box, and the top section, which had the relays and so on, are just all binned, and they've been relocated in a custom cradle on the side here. So to look at that panel, looks pretty much factory, albeit as a factory panel it would have been covering the aircon. Underneath, it's all been lined with a custom fiberglass panel that has got some felt over it, so it's all protected, and that all seems to work fine. So everything is now back in the car, including the custom carpet set, which I cut from an off-the-roll length of carpet. If anybody's interested, you need 7 meters, and you've got to be careful about how you place the different sizes. The headrest covers have been remade. This is actually the fourth one I did, and the one over on the other side, the driver's side, is actually the second one I did. So there were two that made it straight to the bin or ended up in the bin. Still not 100% happy with it, but pretty good. And the colour match is fantastic because these seats have been sprayed. They're originally just black vinyl, and I really like the way that they've done the blue-grey contrast. And I was lucky enough from VY Fab for the guy there to match a colour that is so close, it's not funny. So that's the dash. What we've got in here, apart from the fiberglass panel that goes under the fuse, or behind and under the relocated fuse box, is another custom panel to shroud the bottom of the steering column. It'd normally be covered to a degree with ducting from the air conditioning, whether it's a right or left-hand drive car, but without air conditioning you remove the duct, and although it's not really obvious from the outside of the car, from the passenger seat, what is the bottom section of the steering column and the associated wiring is visible. So that's just a fiberglass panel that's been made with a short section here which is attached to the back to cover what is an open section of that side kick panel that would normally have some ducting in it for one of the eyeball vents. I've used that hole to actually put a voltmeter in, and that is pretty much a perfect fit, and the only modification that's really obvious to the casual observer. So that's the driver's side. Modifications to the wiring, I've basically just kept it as standard. What I've done is I've put a couple of relays to trigger the headlights so we don't have to carry that current through the switch gear on the column. That was fairly straightforward. All the wiring's tucked away, hidden. It's been renewed all the way down to the lights, and that seems to work fine. At the back, carpet again across the deck. Rather than have carpet over the seatbelt housing there, I've just made that of vinyl. And the other change that I've made is in the B-pillar covers. Notice the boot release catch has been relocated to the other side, and they are no longer plastic. They're actually shaped aluminium, covered in 2mm acoustic liner, and then vinyl over the top. So you've got now the boot release on the driver's side, which makes more sense. I'm not so fussed about the bonnet release, that can stay where it is. Door pockets have been retensioned and lined, so that was another little improvement. Some trim that's available from Classic Alpha has gone down the armrests on both sides, so that looks pretty good. That's that piece here. And in the boot, which I'm pretty sure I've left full of rubbish, and we have, I've just made up a floor section to cover the spare tyre, which is just 3mm MDF and then felt covered, and that kind of matches in with what is original carpeting. On this back section, that was all torn basically wherever it was pinned and around the boot latch. So that's just some boot carpet felt, which is pretty inexpensive, fairly thin, but what I've done is that I've glued a section of really thin aluminium flashing across the top 100mm, and with the cutouts more precise and the aluminium backing, you can make the holes smaller. and that carpet then holds its shape a whole lot better rather than just draping down to the floor. So that is that. Couple of jobs still to do. I've done about 400-500k since the carpet and it was refitted. Went to start it the other day, and it does the old, starts perfectly as it has been doing, warms up and dies. I had a look at the fuel injection system, and there's quite a bit of rubber and deterioration that's visible in the engine bay. As I say, it had been running perfectly, so not quite sure what the problem is, but it may be that in trying to empty the tank, although it looked, the fuel looked okay, it had been there for a while, and there may be some sludge or something that's caught up in the fuel pump or whatever. But I'll have a look at the fuel pump first, have a look at the lines down to the motor, and then have a look at the rail, just chase that down. And in the meantime, I've just ordered a whole lot of bits and pieces from Centerline, just waiting on some small injector seals, which are out of stock at the moment. Once they're there, I'll get the order fulfilled and shipped over. So should be some fun in the weeks ahead. And that's about it for now.